In order to make a crochet mosaic blanket or the pattern, there is need to use two colors. So for this, I've chosen to use these two colors, a black and a white. They are worsted weight yarn. Well, these are not worsted weight, they're 3-ply. However, I will be combining two balls to make one, and that's going to give me a worsted weight yarn. If you do not have any worsted weight yarn, I have linked some in the document or the description area below, and you will find a link to where you can find lovely worsted weight yarn and other yarns. And on top of that, we will be using a 5mm crochet hook to achieve our crochet mosaic blanket. If you do not have a 5mm crochet hook, you'll also find that link in the description box below. All the materials required to make this are all linked down there. So now let's talk about the mosaic crochet chart. To make a mosaic crochet, you cannot work without this chart. So this chart is also available in the document below or the link below. So when you're reading a crochet mosaic chart, we start from the right and we make our way going to the left. Every new row starts from the right and we make our way going to the left. So you're going to notice that there's this blank line right here. This is going to be that foundation chain that you make. You will work one row of single crochet. The SC stands for a single crochet, and there's everything written down here. The blank box, these are back loop single crochets. The X's that you see in between in the pattern, they're drop down double crochets, and the normal S's, which is this one and this one right here, are normal single crochets that we'll be making. So we're gonna start by making a chain. This pattern is worked in multiples of 8 plus 3. We'll make a chain that's in multiples of 8, and then we'll add 3, and then we'll work one row of single crochets. I like to work in the back bump because it makes it easier to work when we're working the border around the blanket. After this row, we'll cut and change color to our secondary color. You can start with whatever color you want. This is all up to you. We'll come back to our second color and we're going to work a normal single crochet in the beginning and then back loop single crochets for the rest. And at the very last stitch, we will work a normal single crochet. We will then cut the yarn again and then we'll connect the first color that we worked with and we will start working on the pattern. It's all going to make sense once we get into it. And the pattern tells you that everything will be a repetition of rows 2 to 17. So after you have worked everything all the way up to row 30, you're going to be repeating row 2 up to 17. So to begin, I've put my 2 strands of yarn together. But you're going to make a slip knot. Just like that. And if you're making a baby blanket, you want to chain 99, or if you're making in an adult throw, you want to chain 163. But as I said, we're working this in multiples of 8 plus 3, so you can make it as long as you want. Or since in this tutorial I'm going to be making just a little demonstration, but it can be a washcloth. So if you want to make a washcloth with me, go on and chain 16 plus 3, so 19. And there we are. This is what I'm going to be working with for the sake of this tutorial. If you want to make it longer or larger, this is your time. You can make your, if you're making a washcloth, you can make it larger than this, but this is going to be rather enough for me. So now we're working into the back bumps, remember? So into the second chain, from the hook into those back bumps, go in there with a single crochet. And then we're going to go into the rest with some more single crochets or into the back bumps. And I know black can be a little bit hard to see, so all you're doing is going into the back bumps of the chain that you made. So I'm going to go on doing this and I'll meet you at the end of the row. So I've reached the end of the row. just like that. So now at the end of the row, you're going to chain 2, grab your scissors, I'm using kitchen scissors, cut that yarn and fasten off just like that. So let me just say this before we go any further. If you want to do your crochet baby blanket like I did mine, where I worked mosaic followed by double crochets and then mosaic followed by double crochets, all you're going to do is finish working this pattern. That's going to be 30 rows, and then after you're done like this, you're going to work 16 rows, 15 or 16 rows of double crochet, and then you're just going to repeat this. However, if you just want to do full mosaic, that's when you're going to be repeating row 2 up to 17. So since I've got that out of the way, we're now going to grab our white yarn or secondary color yarn, which is the white for me. Just gonna lay the strands together. And to begin the row, we're gonna start by chaining 2. Just like that, and then into the first stitch. Now this is where we are now. Into the first stitch, we're gonna do a normal single crochet. So you're gonna find that stitch. A normal single crochet is where you insert your hook into both V's. So a normal single crochet, just like that, followed by back loop single crochets. So into that back V, that's where we'll be inserting our single crochets. Just like that. We insert into the back bump so that it leaves room for the front ones. So when we're working those drop down double crochets, we loop into there. So you're gonna keep on working your back loop double crochets, and I'll meet you once I'm done. At the end of row 2, you're just gonna chain 2, grab them scissors and cut and fasten off. Row 2 should be looking just like that. So far nothing is showing because it's just 2 rows of single crochets. And to count your rows, it's easy. All you're gonna do is count the strands of yarn on the ends, ignoring the foundation chain that we made. So these 2 just shows you that you've got 2 rows. So we count our rows by counting the little tassels at the end, ignoring the first one because this is the foundation chain. So this shows us that we've done 2 rows. That's this one, row 0 and row 1. So now we're going to start working on mosaic pattern in row, what's indicating as 2 on the pattern, but it's actually 3 on your blanket or project. So you're going to chain 2 with the first color, which is black in my case, and then you're going to connect with a single crochet. So the single crochet we've connected is this one right here. So the pattern now tells us to work 1, 2, 3 back loop single crochets, followed by a drop down double crochet, which is this X right here. So that drop down double crochet means into the previous row I'll be working a double crochet, just like that. And then it tells us to work 2 more back loop double crochets, and then a drop down double crochet, just like that. And then we're gonna work 1 more, 1 back loop single crochet, followed by another drop down double crochet. So this is all you're going to be doing. This will be followed by 2 back loop single crochets according to the pattern, and then a drop down double crochet, followed by, so if you lay down, if you ever find yourself lost, this is how I like to catch up. I just count how many X's there are on the rows I was making, because that X means a drop down double crochet. So I've done 1 2 3 4 so far, which means I'm 1 2 3 4. I'm right here. This is where I am, which means we're gonna be working 2 back loop single crochets before we work our next drop down double crochet. And then after this, it's 1 back loop single crochet followed by drop down double crochet. Now this is where now we've reached the end of the row, and we know this because this is a normal single crochet. So we do not do a drop down right here, we have to end with a normal single crochet, just like that. We're gonna do a chain of 2 and we shall cut. And this is what your third row on the project, which is your second row on the graph, this is what it should look like. So beginning row 3 on the graph, you're going to chain 2 on the yarn that you're using and single crochet, a normal single crochet. And now the pattern tells us to do 2 back loop single crochets followed by a drop down double crochet. So this drop down will be into that white row, previous white row, as we just did. After that, we're doing 1 back loop single crochet, which is going to be followed by a drop down double crochet. Following this, we're doing 2 back loop single crochets followed by a drop down double crochet. So 2 back loop followed by a drop down double crochet, and then 2 more back loops. That's what the pattern tells us. 2 more back loops followed by a drop down double crochet, and then if you're following the pattern, it's going to tell you to do 1 back loop single crochet and then a drop down double crochet, and then 2 back loop single crochets, followed by a drop down double crochet, and you're going to keep repeating that. But in my case, this is my last stitch before I finish with a normal single crochet, and chain 2. So go on with the row, doing this, repeating this until the end, and I will meet you as we're about to start our row 4. Beginning row 4 on the graph, or row 5 when you work, you are going to start with a single crochet as always. After the single crochet, we're going to work 1 back loop single crochet, and this is my favorite row because all you're going to do is keep counting. It's an easy row. It's hard to get to make a mistake on this one. After you make your 1 back loop single crochet, you're making a front post double crochet, and this would be followed by 3. There'll be 3 back loop single crochets and then a drop down double crochets, 3 back loop single crochet, drop down double crochet, and you're going to repeat that for the entire row. So you're just going to be repeating 3 back loop single crochet, and then a drop down double crochet, 3 back loop single crochets, followed by a drop down double crochet. And I'll reach the end of my row, where I will end with a normal single crochet. Chain 2 and snip that off. Obviously your row might be longer than this, unlike mine. And at the end of row 4 or 5, or row 4 on the graph, this is what it should look like. Our pattern has not started to show yet, but it is forming, as you can see. Just like this. So go on, finishing off your row. I'll meet you so that we can get started on row 5. So beginning row 5, we are going to begin, as we have been beginning throughout, with a single crochet, which is this single crochet right here, and then this will be followed by a drop down double crochet. After this drop down double crochet, we're going to work 2 back loop single crochets, followed by a drop down double crochet. And then the pattern tells you to work 2 more back loop single crochets, and then a drop down double crochet, and then we will work 1 back loop single crochet, and then a drop down double crochet, and then 2 back loop single crochets, and drop down double crochet, then 2 back loop single crochets again, and a drop down double crochet, 1 back loop single crochet, and then you work another drop down double crochet, and you keep repeating this, but I'll reach the end of the row. So I will chain, do a single crochet into both loops, chain 2, grab my scissors, and cut. And our pattern is beginning to form. Beginning the next row, I've already chained 2. We will single crochet as normal. So this is row 6 on the pattern. I'm just putting these little dots so I don't lose myself, but like I said, you could always count the tassels. So I've done the normal single crochet. This will be followed by 2 back loop single crochets, and then a drop down double crochet, just like that, followed by 1 back loop single crochet, a drop down double crochet, and then we'll go 2 back loop single crochets and a drop down double crochet, 2 back loop single crochets, a drop down double crochet, 1 back loop single crochet, drop down double crochet. By this time now, I'm sure the whole repetition of this pattern is now starting to make sense. 2 back loop single crochets, a drop down double crochet, and you will continue following the pattern just like that. As for this, I have reached the end. Now chain 2 and cut. Just like that. Go on, finish off that row, and you meet me after. To begin row 7 on the graph, make a normal single crochet, just like that, and then we'll do one back loop. We're going to do one drop down double crochet, and we're back to that row where we do 3 back loop single crochet followed by drop down double crochet, 3 back loop single crochet followed by drop down double crochet. These are my favorite rows, like I said earlier. You barely need to keep your eyes on the graph. So, oops, sorry. After we do our normal single crochet, we're gonna do 1 back loop single crochet. So I was correct. Just like that, followed by a drop down double crochet. Yeah, so single crochet followed by 1 back loop single crochet and then a drop down double crochet. We'll be doing 3 back loop single crochets and then a drop down double crochets in between. And I'm towards the end of my row, so that was the last drop down double crochet. I'll be ending with that normal single crochet and that chain 2, grab them scissors and cut. And right now the pattern is starting to show just a bit, if you can see. So that's row 7 complete on the pattern. I'm just going to leave a little dot. Go on, finish your row, and I'll meet you at the end. Row 8, chain 2 on the chain, single crochet. Now that's that single crochet we made. We're going to do a drop down double crochet, followed by 2 back loop single crochets, followed by a drop down double crochet, 2 back loop single crochets, and a drop down double crochet, 1 back loop single crochet, drop down double crochet, and then 2 back loop single crochets, that drop down double crochet. By now the pattern is all gonna start speaking to you. And you go on doing that. I'll reach the end. Chain 2 and I'll cut. And that was row 8 for me. Go on, finish off that row, and I'll meet you on row 9. So we're gonna single crochet as normal. One back loop single crochet, followed by a front post double crochet, and then we'll do 3 back loop single crochets. We're back to my favorite row, and I drop down double crochet. Three back loop single crochets, and a drop down double crochet, and we'll just repeat that. You're going to repeat that for the rest of the row. Chain 2, grab them scissors of mine, cut that yarn in. Go on with that row, and I'll meet you so we can begin row 10. So row 10, single crochet, and now we're going to do 2 back loop single crochets before our first front post double crochet, and then that front post double crochet. And then we'll do 1 back loop single crochet and 1 front post double crochet. Followed by 2 back loop single crochets, 1 front post double crochet, 2 back loop single crochets, a front post double crochet, 1 back loop single crochet, front post double crochet, 2 back loop single crochets, and front post double crochet. You go on doing that. I've reached the end of my row, and I'll meet you on row 11. Begin row 11, single crochet as normal. And then we're doing a front post double crochet. After that front post double crochet, we're doing 2 back loop single crochets, followed by drop down double crochet, and then 2 back loop single crochets again, front post double crochet, 1 back loop single crochet, front post double crochet, 2 back loop single crochets, a front post double crochet, 2 back loop single crochets, a front post double crochet. You're gonna go on like that. I have reached the end of the row for me. And that was row 11. Clearly you can see that mosaic pattern being formed. Can you see that? There's little diamonds and stuffs. All that, it's all pretty. I love this color. I know that black is not the best to work with. Please forgive me for that. This is what our work so far should look like. So go on, finish off that row 11. Let me meet you starting row 12. To begin row 12, you'll single crochet. After that single crochet, we'll do 1 back loop single crochet, It looks like my favorite row again. And then we'll do a drop down double crochet. We'll be doing 3 back loop single crochets, followed by drop down double crochet, 3 back loop single crochets, and a drop down double crochet. 3 back loop single crochets, drop down double crochet, and you're just gonna keep repeating that. I've reached the end of my row, so I'm just gonna do my chain 1 and I'll cut. You go on repeating that and I'll meet you so that we can begin working on row 13. So row 13, single crochet, chain 2, and we'll single crochet as normal. Just like that, and then we'll do 2 back loop single crochets, followed by drop down double crochet, and then 1 back loop single crochet, and then a drop down double crochet. This will be followed by 2 back loop single crochets, a drop down double crochet, and then 2 back loop single crochets again, drop down double crochet, 1 back loop single crochet, a drop down double crochet, and then you're going to do 2 back loop single crochets, a drop down double crochet, and I'll reach the end of my row. You're gonna continue doing this unless you're also making a coaster or a washcloth. Chain 2 and we'll cut. You go on and finish your row 13. It is? Yes, row 13. And I'll meet you on row 14. So far, this is what our baby's looking like. Don't you just love it? So row 14, single crochet as normal, and then drop down double crochet. After that drop down double crochet, we're going to be working 2 back loop single crochets. It should be followed by a drop down double crochet, two back loop single crochets, a drop down double crochet, 1 back loop single crochet, a drop down double crochet, 2 back loop single crochets, a drop down double crochet, 2 back loop single crochets, a drop down double crochet, and you're going to keep repeating this for the rest of your row. I reached the end of mine, gonna single crochet, chain 2 and cut. So row 15, you're gonna single crochet as normal, just like that, followed by one back loop single crochet and a drop down double crochet, and then we're back to my favorite row, which is 1, 2, 3 back loop single crochets and then a drop down double crochet. And then you're going to continue doing just that. As for me, I have reached the end of my row, so I'm just going to do the normal single crochet to finish that row, chain 2 and cut. And that is what row 15, just going to mark that, should be looking like. So pretty. If you're making a coaster, honestly, I feel like this is just the perfect size. If you're intending little cups to go there and wave in a mug, I'm sure it can fit in this. But you know, I'm gonna go on with you until row 17, which is 2 more rows until we get there. So I guess it doesn't make a difference. But this is what row 15 should be looking like. So you go and finish yours and I'll meet you on row 16. To begin row 16, single crochet as normal, just like that, followed by 2 back post single crochets and then a drop down double crochet, followed by 1 back loop single crochet and a drop down double crochet, and then we will do 2 back loop single crochets, followed by drop down double crochet, 2 back loop single crochets, followed by drop down double crochet, and then 1 back loop single crochet and drop down double crochet, and you're gonna keep repeating this throughout the rest of the row. And then we will single crochet, chain 2 and cut, just like that. You go and finish that row and then I'll meet you on row 17. To begin row 17, which is the last row of the repeat pattern, single crochet as normal, just like that, and then we're gonna do 1 back loop single crochet, and then we'll do a drop down double crochet. Following this, we'll do 3 back loop single crochets, drop down double crochet, 3 back loop single crochets, drop down double crochet, 3 back loop single crochets, a drop down double crochet, and you're gonna keep repeating that for the rest of the row. as for me, I have just finished row 17, and this is all we're going to be doing for the repetition. If you're working your full blanket in just this mosaic pattern, after you've done row 17, you can go back to row 2, or if you want, you can go all the way back up and then come back to row 2. But otherwise, this is a repetition of row 2 up to row 17. And just like that. So you go on, continue working what we've been doing in the same manner. If you're doing a coaster, you're done. If you're doing a washcloth, then we're about to get to the next phase, which is now getting working the border around. And also, if you're doing a coaster and you'd like to have a border around it, that's absolutely fine. We can get there. For you doing blankets, you go on working, pause the video, go on working. After you're done, then now you can meet us so that we can do the border, the double border together. So to work your double border, you want to lay those tassels down, and we're gonna cut. So if you are making a coaster, a rug coaster, or a mug rug, you're just gonna cut a few inches. If you want this long, that's fine. I would advise you to just even out the tassels. But if you are making a double border like we are, those making a washcloth or a crochet blanket, then you want to cut down as close as possible. I have a horrible scissors, so I might do a lot of this off camera. But otherwise, I would advise you to just cut somewhere around here and just leave as little as possible, because I will only be working 1 row of double crochet or 2. If you want yours to be more, that's also absolutely up to you. As for the tutorial, the baby blanket, I worked 2 rows of double crochet on each side of the borders. So you're just gonna go on and cut that yarn. Pretty much just like that. Go on, cut off that yarn, and I'll meet you after I'm done. So after we're done cutting the tassels, this is what our work should be looking like. So now we're about to place slip stitches going all around our crochet work. Following that slip stitches, then we're going to start working those that crochet border. I did think of another way to do this, because you would need a contrasting color yarn when going around the borders, because it would make it really hard for this side. However, I haven't seen anyone do this on a tutorial, so I'm just going to give this a go. Otherwise, if you're going to do the slip stitch method to work this double border, you might want to get a different color yarn. In this case, I might say a gray, and you're just going to grab a larger hook. So in this case, a 6. You're going to go one size larger. And then, assuming this is a different color yarn, I would suggest grey, so that it can mingle well with this. You're going to connect your yarn to the center of your work, or anywhere. But the tutorials I've been watching, they've been connecting to the center. And then into that same stitch, you're going to go in with your first slip stitch, and you still want to make it loose. And then you're going to slip stitch into every stitch around. This is also how I worked mine, but I did use the same color as I was working. However, it did pose a challenge, especially on the double crochet rows, since I was using the blue yarn for the border. So sometimes I couldn't see properly, but you know. So that's why I'm saying it's best to use a contrasting color. So after you reach a corner, placing your slip stitches, I chained 1 and turned. Turning, now this side I was placing a slip stitch into the side single crochet rows. One slip stitch for each single crochet row. on the double crochet rows, when you reach the double crochet rows, you want to place 2 slip stitches in a double crochet row and then 1 slip stitch in the next row, and you want to alternate like that. So we're just going to go on placing these slip stitches going down. Just like that, and you're going to do this going all the way around, back up until you come here. Once you reach here, once you reach the top, ignore me, you are going to slip stitch into that first slip stitch we made, chain 1, and we're going to go back to the 5mm crochet hook. You're going to chain 1, yarn over, and then into the slip stitches, you're going to have stitches on this side and stitches on the back. So into the front stitches, you're going to go into both and place a double crochet. And you're going to go keep on going through both loops, placing double crochets all the way around. You're going to go all around your work. Once you reach back up, slip stitch to join, chain 1 into the same stitch. If you're doing 2 rows, this is. Go back around, placing double crochets. Once you reach the corners, however, you're going to place a double crochet, chain 2 into the same stitch, double crochet, and then turn. That's going to help you turn without it making your work fold at the corners. So you're going to do that for the number of rows that you want to do your crochet border. Otherwise, if you want to do this kind of new method I'm trying to do here, then you're going to keep on working with that 5mm crochet hook. So we're going to slip stitch to join just as I did right there. However, I want us to do this into the front post of that double crochet only. Slip stitch to join, and then I'm going to chain 1 into that same stitch. I'll go in with a double crochet and then a double crochet into the next one. And I'm just going to keep working them like that. And this is the last one. So into there, I'll place 1 double crochet, chain 2, same stitch, I'll place another double crochet. This is going to help turn. And then working on the sides, that was a single crochet, yarn over, so this is where I'm going, that last single crochet, front post part of that last single crochet. So I'm placing my double crochet. And if I lay it down, this is what it's looking like. And if you're worrying that when we come on the other side, when we come on the other side, we're going to be placing the double crochet through here. There's always a spot, trust me, just through there. But don't worry about that now. And when it comes to the other side, you can already see that where we place the double crochet is already popping up. So I'm going to continue doing that. Once I reach this corner, I'll place a double crochet in there, chain 2, another one in there, and then I'll go on onto this corner and I'll do the same thing until I meet you back right here, so we can slip stitch and start the second row together. So after one row of the double crochet border, this is what it's going to look like, but I want the tassels to completely hide, so I've decided I might go on another row. I might just go on and do another row. So you're going to slip stitch on top of that first double crochet you made, chain one, and into the same stitches joining, you're going to go in with your second row of double crochet. And what you're doing now is working double crochets on top of the previous double crochets. And then when you reach the corner, I'll just show you shortly what you're going to do. So at the corner, you are going to place a double crochet into that chain 2 space, chain 2, and place another double crochet, turn, and you're just going to continue working double crochets. And this is what that corner should look like. And you're going to do that for the rest of the other corners, just like that. So I'm going to go around and I'll meet you once we get here, and then I'll get started on the other side of the border. So after 2 rows of double crochet, this is what it looks like. I just slip stitched, chained one, and cut. Now we're about to do the same thing on the other side. Right here is where we joined, so it's also where we're going to join for the other side. I'm just going to connect with a slip stitch, chain one, and then we'll place a double crochet. Okay, this is quite messy looking. Try and keep your tails to the middle so that it's in the middle. It finds itself, they find themselves in the middle of the border, so we can just close them in, and then we'll continue to work double crochets from these loops that we left. This is that corner with double crochet, chain 2 into that same stitch, another double crochet, and then going on to the side, so just like that pretty much. And you're going to keep on working, do the same on the corners, and I'll meet you back. Actually, when you get back here, you do what we did this side. Work 2 rows, then I'll meet you so that we can now close the borders. And so I finished those 2 rows for the other side. I'm just going to slip stitch into that first stitch that we made. Just like that, and chain 1. Insert my hook into the same stitch. Find the other side of the border. I'm going to bring in that tail into the center. If you'd rather do this with a sewing needle, then that's fine, but I'm going to be closing the border with the crochet hook, and then you're going to find the corresponding stitch on the other side, bring through and single crochet. You can find the next stitch. To be honest, on the baby blanket, I was going through the back bumps. So back bump of this one and back bump of the other one, and single crochet. Back bump of this and back bump of the other, single crochet. Into the back loop of the single crochet and back loop of that single crochet, and form a single crochet. And that's going to be sewing, closing, seaming the double border. And as you're doing this, if you have any little strands that are still a little bit tall or standing out, you can just tuck them into the center and close them in. So you're going to keep on doing this. Once you get to the chain 2 space, you're just going to place 2 single crochets in there and turn 2 single crochets in the corners and continue until you reach here where we'll chain 1 slip stitch and cut, and then I'll show you how we can hide the tail. So you go on doing that and I'll meet you. I'll reach the end. I'm just going to slip stitch into that first single crochet we made, chain 1, grab your scissors and chop off the yarn, pull through and tie a knot. So now you want to insert your hook so that it's resting in the center in between the 2 rows. Lift it up just underneath where that slip stitch was made, and you want to pull that yarn through and tuck it inside that border, and you look at that, we're all done. Our crochet blanket or washcloth is all finished and all done. That's what it looks like on both sides. If you still have some bits like I do, there's nothing that yarn hook cannot do. Just put that in and tuck it in. Same thing as another one right here. I'm just gonna pull that in with my hook. If it happens to pop out, you could always do that again. And there you are, your crochet project all done. I hope you loved this lesson, guys, and I hope it made absolute sense. If it didn't, if you need help somewhere, feel free to message me or just comment down below, and I'll be quick to respond and I'll get right back to you. Until next time, see you in a bit.